Welcome to the VIG site where I'm going to be reviewing UFC Fight Night Kattar versus Allen. Look through for some of the best prices that are available on the market and see if there's anything that's mispriced or maybe even some ARB opportunities. I'm not going to be going through every fight. I'm just going to be picking off the ones that I thought were worth taking a look at and that had some good value on it. So let's just get right into it. Calvin Kattar, Arnold Allen main event. We've already seen some money come in on Arnold Allen. Probably going to be seeing some ARB opportunities. Right now it's just between Betway and DraftKings, but I will say I saw Calvin Kattar as high as plus 115 on Coolbet if you have access. I think Paramatch had Arnold Allen is still at plus 110. If you have access to the sites, decent opportunity there. But as far as the props go, BetOnline released them. What I think probably the best one that stands out on this fight, and the one that I have put a bet on, is Allen scorecards no action at plus 110. Now, I'm not like horribly confident on this, but we've already seen that Allen has been bid up to being the favorite. And subjectively, I would say that I think that Arnold Allen is the more finish heavy fighter in the sense that Calvin Kattar is really known more for the decisions. But I will say Calvin Kattar is durable. If we look through their histories, we can sort of get a feel for what the proportions of their finishes to their decisions, and we can see inside the distance here, 200. His decision was viewed as being more likely, significantly more likely. We can calculate the exact percentages. I've already done that though. And we could do the same for Arnold Allen in similar matchups, although he hasn't really fought in too many 5-rounders, so it's not a great approximation. But basically, the gist of it is that Arnold Allen is ever so slightly more of a finisher relative to the decisions in terms of how his win equity tends to be broken down. And could be some modifications there because Calvin Kattar is exceptionally durable. But I would say that when he's already minus 20, 120, minus 130 favorite, and it seems to be that it's continuing to go in that direction, the plus 110 on Allen scorecards in action is quite good. Also, an interesting thing, if you're not on the Allen side, this still is a tool that you can use to get a really good price. You can take the Allen scorecards no action plus 110, and then also take the Calvin Kattar money line at plus 110, an equal amount on both sides, or you can split it up a little bit differently. But basically, you will have anytime. Let's say that you did 100 on each side. Anytime it ends inside the distance, you would win a little bit of money. You'd win 10 for every 200, so 5%. And then if it went to decision, you just have a Calvin Kattar decision-only bet at plus 110, which I think is quite good even without the 5% little win equity for when it finishes inside the distance. Kattar decision-only 110 sounds pretty good. He is the more decision-driven fighter. It just seems like it's just an anomaly that it got bid up to plus 110. It's not even consistent with the movement on BetOnline itself. You can see that the Allen inside the distance got bid down, Kattar got bid up, but for some reason, the scorecards no action, which is just a composite of those two things, got pushed up to plus 110. Doesn't make any sense. Also, not consistent with the 5 dimes prices, and a pretty big inconsistency. You can see here, Kattar inside the distance pays way more, Allen inside the distance less, and that ratio is what defines where the sites open up their scorecards no action price. So if 5 dimes was to open one up at their current prices, you'd see it probably somewhere around minus 130. Anyways, the plus 110 is a good buy. You're going to be able to arb out at some point. I wouldn't worry too much about it. It seems like you could find a way to make it so it's a guaranteed profit if you want to, but I just think it's a good bet on its own. Next one, Dustin Jacoby Cleo Roundtree stands out. There was some good money on that. I got Cleo Roundtree at 180 early and feeling pretty good about that. Probably going to buy some more Justin Jacoby if he keeps going up, and minus 155. I don't know how. I would expect him to be more of a favorite, to be honest. But the big zinger here on this fight, and I'm hoping it's still here. Scorecards no action on Khalil Roundtree Jr. at 155. This is like another story similar to the main event. Open at 170, max bet, fantastic. Even still, though, you're getting 155 on Khalil Roundtree Jr. And the best you can get on the money line is 145, which is just surprising because when we look at Khalil Roundtree Jr., it's like, well, who's the guy who's more likely to win decision? I mean, Dustin Jacoby's more likely to win decision and more likely to finish. But Khalil Roundtree Jr. is definitely the more finish-heavy fighter. In fact, you got to imagine that the large majority of his win equity is tied up to finish, whereas Dustin Jacoby, I feel like if it goes to the scorecard, he's got to be like a minus 250, minus 300 favorite. A decision-only Jacoby ticket would be a very good ticket at anything close to like minus 200. And yet, same thing with the main event. If we were to buy Khalil Roundtree Jr. at plus 155 scorecards, no action, and then also buy the money line at minus 155, essentially what we would be doing is if it ends inside the distance, it breaks even. And if it goes to decision, we just have a Jacoby decision only ticket at minus 155, which I think is fantastic. I mean, I think the broken line here is definitely the scorecards no action at 155. I don't know what BetOnline was thinking. And we see the same thing on 5 Dimes in terms of where they open their finish prices relative to BetOnline, and I think the 5 Dimes was actually more correct. Roundtree opened at a lower price, and Jacoby, well, it looks like they've adjusted it now, but you can see they opened up lower here, they opened up higher here, and they've been bid down on BetOnline. But for some reason, the scorecards no action has not moved enough to reflect that. Yeah, 155. Take it now. It's not gonna last long. Next up. Oh wait, no. There's another thing on the Dustin Jacoby side. On BetOnline, if you have BetOnline, because this is only really offered there, they had Jacoby more significant strikes at minus 125, which is just crazy. He puts out much more volume. We can just actually look up the history of a Dustin Jacoby. Oops. Yeah, 5.27 strikes per minute. Khalil Roundtree, a respectable 3.34, but I mean, Jacoby's the far better kickboxer, far more likely to land large numbers. Minus 125. I mean, it's almost as if they're thinking it's close to even. I don't think it's anywhere close to even. I mean, I think he's going to be outstriking him even in his losses a lot of the time. I mean, it's not that uncommon where you're going to see Dustin Jacoby outstrike him and then Khalil lands that one fatal blow and it's all over. At minus 125 it was an instant buy. It's minus 135 now. Still think it's a great buy at minus 135. Frankly, I'd probably buy it up to minus 150. I don't know that I'd go much further than that, but I think it's definitely something that probably has an implied probability of around minus 200. I just wouldn't want to buy it if it was minus 200. Haas, Delize, nothing really of interest. Vandera, Waldo, Cortez Acosta, I was initially interested and missed out on the under 2.5 at even money. Thought that was good. I thought I'd take a little bit of a time to think about it. Missed it. Minus 181. Over is actually more tempting now, but I'm not going to touch it. It seems like it's pretty close to what it should be. Freemed Gore fight. This is one that there aren't any props out that I think are great right now. But what we're going to find as the week goes on is this Gore decision bet is probably really bad. 550 sounds pretty good, and relative to the 235, it's like, yeah, Freem's more likely to win a decision. But I think he's a lot more likely to win a decision than that would suggest. If you were to put that into the odds calculator, 30% and 15.4. So let's get the calculator. We just take 30 divided by 45.4, 66.08. 66.08. So it's like if this was just transposed, if the ratio of these was just transposed to a decision-only bet, it would price it vig free at about minus 200, minus 195, Freem decision plus 195. And even if you add some vig onto that and make that like a minus 215 or something, I think minus 215 Freem decision only would be really good if this is actually something that sticks with across other sites. Just think that they're giving way too much credit to Gore to win a decision. He's so low volume, doesn't really go for the grappling. He's too patient. And he could change, but we've seen quite a few fights where he's been playing that game, and when he gets the knockout, he gets the knockout. But if it goes to decision, I feel pretty good holding a Freeman decision only ticket at minus 200. Something to watch out for. The Arlovsky-Rogerio. A lot of people were hopeful on this one that we would get a good price on Rogerio finish only or Arlovsky decision only. We only have one of those right now, and it is a stinker. Minus 400 on the Rogerio finish only. That is not bettable in my opinion. Neither is the Arlovsky one. I mean, they seem to have hit it pretty close to the mark. And the finish prices are pretty close to what you find on 5 dimes, and I think Pinnacle might have some of the time props out as well. So things tend to be pretty consistent and pretty well where I would expect them to be. The Arlovsky significant strikes prop is at 170, which is to say the Arlovsky has more significant strikes, plus 170, draws a push. I like that. The way I tend to look at these things is Arlovsky is much more likely to lose with more significant strikes than Rogerio de Lima is to lose with more significant strikes. Basically, if Rogerio has if Arlovsky wins, he's almost always going to have more significant strikes. If Rogerio wins, he might not have more significant strikes, and that 170 is awfully close to the money line as it is. I think it's good value. I'm not going to jump through the window to bet it, but I definitely put it on my bet list for the week. Max bet of 100 on Bet Online is a good one. I don't think it's going to take too much attention, so you're probably going to be able to get to it before it changes. Holmes Park, nothing to say. Chase Hooper, Steve Garcia. Also really nothing of interest. I mean, I think the Steve Garcia money line is getting close to tempting at 220. But, I mean, no real data-driven reason for it. Just I think the Chase Hooper's a little overrated. I know some people were hopeful for the Hooper scorecards, no action. Doesn't seem they really gave a good price. It's pretty consistent with his money line at minus 220. If you like it, you like it. But I see nothing to suggest that it's a great price. I wouldn't bet it. Moving on to other future fights, just took a quick scan over it and some things that were of interest. Maybe you would think it's of interest too. The Magni at minus 120, like how is that still a thing? It should be like minus 150, minus 200 in my opinion. Haven't bet it yet. Julia Budd 190. I don't know. People are overlaying Aspen Ladd, and it's a big weight jump, going from 135 to lightweight. She was obviously never really a 135er. But it kind of was her thing, is just being bigger and stronger than her opponents. I mean, I have a bet on Julia Budd at 190. I think it's going to improve as the week goes by, as the weeks go by. It's not until November 25th. But, not like a strong read. Andy Delage, I got him at minus 200 at the Open. Moved a little bit, seems to have flatlined, but it's over a month away? Month and a half away? Yeah, it's probably not going to take action until a little closer to the event. Matt Scheffel's just overrated. I mean, he's basically just riding that win off of Bruno Capoloza, where he was a huge underdog and somehow pulled off a boring decision. Juan Adams means nothing to beat him. Andy Delage beat him last time out, and I think Andy Delage is going to win the Millie, which you love to see it. Andy Delage has kind of got the shaft. The timing didn't really work out for him to make it to the UFC, but I think he could have been, in his prime, probably one of the top contenders in the heavyweight division. So, if he gets a milli out of it, very happy for him. Moraes 275, I initially thought looked pretty good. Was a top 10 guy in the UFC. Burgos never really cracked the top 10. The more you think about it, though, it's more like I just want to kind of wait for the Marlon Moraes round 1 prop, because he pretty much is one round, one or bust, it seems these days. Don't think there's going to be much motivation. Don't really have interest in Burgos at minus 350, but when they do release that round 1 prop for Moraes, they could botch it a lot. It's hard to underestimate how much of Marlon Moraes' win condition is round 1. Yeah, that's all for today. I'm going to be posting prices as the props drop, though, because there's always something dropping that's grossly mispriced, especially when FanDuel drops it, especially when DraftKings drops their props. They're way off market. There are possibilities. We just have Bull Bet Online right now. But hit the subscribe button if you liked it, and we'll try to make a lot of money together. Thanks for watching.